area for cooking, and a small bathroom, and a series of small units separated by wooden partitions or curtains that contain a single raised platform for a bed. The children of prostituted women have no beds, so they may sleep under the platform even while their mothers are with men. Did you catch that? The children are in a platform that is underneath the bed. They're hiding in there while their mothers are with men in the bed, right on top of them. Wooden cabinets may line a small wall outside the partition to hide younger children. Sometimes brothel owners, pimps, and or mothers will drug the children to keep them quiet. When a young girl arrives in the red light district, she undergoes a seasoning time to prepare her for the sex industry. Brothels use various methods to train an entrant to make her compliant. Sleep deprivation, confinement, withholding of food and or water, physical and sexual assault, sometimes burning them with cigarettes, beatings, gang rape. The goal of the seasoning process is to break her will and to bring her to the point where she will comply with the brothel owner's wishes. In addition, the owner informs the girl that she must repay the debt that he has incurred in acquiring her. The owner tallies her purchase price, transportation costs, any local bribes he had to pay, and her living expenses to create an insurmountable sum to repay. If she has a child while in his employ, he may take the child as part of the repayment plan. Prostitution in India carries a tremendous amount of stigma. One day spent in a brothel or red light district area is enough to stigmatize a young girl. She is one of those girls, and no one will want to marry her. She no longer can live in the world outside of the sex industry. The owner or pimp will use this stigma to further entrap and manipulate her into compliance. Where could she possibly go if she ran away? Within days, she succumbs to her new life. She stands on the line or visits or waits in the reception area of the brothel for a seemingly endless stream of perpetrators. She may service 10 to 15 men each night. She turns over all the money they gave her to the brothel owner. Guards watch her every move until the brothel owner is convinced that she will not run away. She now is trapped and enslaved. So, I recently, I took on the task of coming and helping with this ministry and taking this class. And I don't know if you noticed, but all of a sudden when something's on your mind, you begin to notice it a lot more. And first thing I began to notice was that right around our area where our church is, that there was some prostitution activities going on. The other thing I began to notice was the amount of massage parlors that are in our area. And I live in Chandler, a pretty nice area. Our church is in Mesa, and there are just several of these massage parlors, and not professional spa salon kind of places, but just these that are used for cover for sexual activity. The other thing I began to notice is the amount of interest that there is in sex trafficking. I was watching what's her name, Demi Moore, the actress, and apparently her and her husband have been traveling, and they did a special with CNN in India and showing these brothels. And so when I was reading this, I'm literally seeing in my mind's eye the images and these walls where 20, 30, 40, 50 women are standing there, and men are coming down these alleys basically, and they take one of the girls and they go up to these little rooms like they're talking about, and it just thousands and thousands. And one of the things that was kind of funny was that when the film crews were there and they got some of the police to get involved, there was this woman cop, and it was really funny because it's so strange. You don't see this in our culture, our society. But this woman police officer who goes into this brothel, and every man that she sees, she just smacks him right in the face. Wha blam! I mean, just as hard as she could. And the cameras are following her, and she's up the stairs. These men are coming down, looking like this, and bam! She was just slapping each of them. It was funny. I enjoyed that. I thought, yeah, some of these guys just need a good smack in the face, amen. But excuse me for that. That's just my flesh. But it was just interesting, and they showed the magnitude of some of this, and it's just incredible to see. Actually see live footage of what's happening today, and this isn't some ancient modern or postmodern era. This is happening today. And then I was watching this other footage, A&E or something, and it was talking about sex traffic here in America, and there was a big ring in San Francisco, and how the police department there is working to shut down the rings there in San Francisco, and it's basically the same thing, except it's posed as a massage parlor type of thing, and once they get in there, all types of other things are going on. So this is happening all over the world. So in front of you, the loss exercise here is to help us to understand the trauma of transition from the sex community to the new community. It is necessary to look at what the rescued individual leaves. All right? So even though, like I said, even though coming to the Dream Center versus being, enslaved in some massage parlor or something, is better, nevertheless, just like you had to throw away some things, think about what they had to leave behind. For some of them, maybe friends that are like sisters to them, that they've had the closest connection with, and sometimes in those industries, maybe just knowing somebody for 2 years might be the closest connection you've had to know somebody for 2 years out of your whole life. So sometimes they have to leave those things behind. Can you help scroll that through? We're going to go to the culture and modus operandi of the sex industry. Okay? So, some of the things that we consider as strange and abnormal and absolutely, goofy, right? That we would say is not Christian, good, normal behavior are very much condoned and put forth in the sex industry. Okay, highly sexualized behaviors, language, and gestures. Now, one of the things that I wanted to discuss because it's important to note is how much the proliferance and the easy access to pornographic materials has affected our culture today. Okay, the younger generation, I've heard that the average age of a child once that today in this generation that are exposed to pornography is about 9 years old. 9 years old. So our children, our grandchildren that are under that age, the average expected age before they view sexually explicit materials is about 9 years old. So we have to understand that that is a trauma that has an effect in their life. And as a result, our society is becoming more and more sexualized. It's gotten to where, before I was just okay with, non-cable TV, just basic cable, where I didn't have, HBO and Skinamax and, all that kind of stuff, right? Now, even regular TV. I was watching, just flicking through and there's good educational stuff, that you can catch. And I was watching something and I left the room and I came back and there were two women kissing. I mean, kissing like a man and a woman. And it was like 10 o'clock at night. And I told my wife, I said, next it'll be 9 o'clock, then it'll be 8 o'clock, then it'll be prime time. But this is the sexually explicit material. And so our culture, or the world's culture, is really more accepting of the sexual industry culture. Some of the things that people talk about, if you overhear people, some of the things they talk about is just unbelievable. So highly sexualized behaviors, language, and gestures are acceptable in this culture. And more, they're more acceptable in just the world's culture, just the unsaved folks. Profit-driven businesses based on women and children as commodities to be bought and to be sold, that is normal culture. Everything is about turning a profit. Everything is about, hustling, making money. So as long as it's making money, people don't view it as wrong. See, that's different from our culture. The Christian culture is based on principles. And there are certain things, no matter how much money you pay me, I'm not going to do it. But in this culture, hey, if you're making money, then it's okay. And we have to understand that mentality if we're going to be able to minister to these people. Because that's something that we have to be able to help them through. They're looking at, hey, if it's not hurting me, if it's not hurting nobody else, I'm making money, then it's okay. No, it's not. And many of our business practices. Think about how many corrupt business people. My wife called me up from somewhere. They were going to change her oil. They were going to charge her all this money. And then she calls me and she goes, oh, the guy all of a sudden, because I called you, he decided to change the price. Businesses taking advantage of people. Why? It's okay as long as I'm going to make money out of it. Discipline-driven, breaking the rules is enforced with violence. Compliance is rewarded with status and money. Discipline-driven. Think about the culture, and we deal with this here a lot at the Dream Center with our disciples. The no snitch thing. That runs deep. That's a street culture thing. Oh, I'm not going to snitch. I'm not going to tell. You saw somebody do something wrong. You saw somebody break the rules, and you are more dedicated to covering, to being an accomplice to something wrong that happened than to say what happened. That's wrong. And yet, we see that here very, very. It's a very powerful thing. Entertainment-based sexual creativity is encouraged, and so this talks about, all types of expressions from artistic works to, just various different ones. Sexual creativity, and being entertained by that. Movies and videos and toys and I don't know, whatever else. And so that's something that we have to be aware of. Even the music, we might give somebody something so they can listen to music, but what kind of music are they listening to? There's some music that's X-rated, and it's basically it's just a song about sex acts. I mean, there's probably more songs written about sex than anything else, unfortunately, in many different ways.